Hi. How many of you struggle with stress eating? Statistics say 60%, but I'm guessing the other 40 also have faced the pantry in the last 4 months. While we turn to food for many reasons other than hunger, be it boredom, loneliness, being upset about something, being anxious, it's perfectly understandable that food offers the comfort that we seek. But if you use it as a crutch time after time, the cause of stress will still remain and it will still be a problem. Hi, I'm Anna Harris, a personal trainer, nutrition coach, and the founder of FitEatRest.com. I focus on 3 pillars: fitness, nutrition, and rest and recovery. So let's talk about stress. Persistent stress can lead to inflammation, and it's not the only cause of inflammation. I would like to touch on that first, and let's really examine why we're using food to solve a problem and what are the solutions we can use. Let's talk about stress. It's perfectly normal. It's part of our lives, and it's a normal response that our body gives out with elevated blood pressure and heart rate. And stress hormones like cortisol produce the inflammatory signals. However, if the stress persists on a continuous basis, basically being chronic, then that can be a serious problem for your health, and it can cause a lot of inflammation and serious consequences like cardiovascular disease, metabolic disease, specifically type 2 diabetes. It can lead to different digestive problems. It can cause complications with pregnancy or irregular periods or difficulty in menopause. Lots of different complications. So we can all agree that stress is no good, and especially chronic type of stress that persists. Just like stress, inflammation in small amounts is okay. If you ever cut your finger, you notice how there's a little bit of inflammation around. That's your cells rushing to help respond and helping protect that area. However, too much of anything is no good. And chronic inflammation happens when the body turns off its fending off response and leaves us in a constant state of alert. That means the hormone named ghrelin, I call it a little gremlin, is continuously released, so we consistently feel hungry. And that's not a good feeling, right? But stress is not the only reason for inflammation. There's certain foods that lead to inflammation, and one example is omega-6 fats. Now, we need a variety of fats in our diet for the body to function. It helps our brain, it helps a lot of different processes. Omega-6 fats help give us energy. Omega-3 fats produce anti-inflammatory response. They reduce the inflammation. But we need all kinds of these fats. They're essential because we don't produce them mostly. So omega-6, omega-3, omega-9, we need them all. But back in the early ages, in the early days, humans evolved from that diet where it was a 1-to-1 proportion of omega-6 to omega-3 fats. You know what that proportion is now? It's 16-to-1. And omega-6 fats produce inflammation, while omega-3 reduce them. So 16-to-1 is not really a good ratio to have. One is inflammatory and one fights inflammation, and we want it skewed a little bit differently. So do you want to know what the biggest source of inflammation is in our diet? The omega-6 charged culprit? It's the oils, vegetable oils. So you can find them in the bottle, obviously, and some of them have more omega-6 than others. The ones that have the most are corn oil, soybean oil, cottonseed oil, and sunflower oil. And it's easy to avoid the bottle, right? You don't have to buy that kind of oil, but unfortunately those oils are found everywhere, any packaged goods. So here I have some examples. Skinny Pop. I like it a lot, and it's low in calories. It's a good fiber-rich snack. But look at the list of ingredients. Popcorn, sunflower oil is the second ingredient. So there are very few ingredients, and for the most part, they're healthy ingredients. So is sunflower oil. But if we eat that in higher amounts, you will have more of that omega-6 type of oil. Another example, again, a healthy snack, Annie's snack mix. My kids like that one. If you look at the list of ingredients, which is kind of unusual for an organic type of food, a pretty long list of ingredients. And a lot of the organic ingredients, including the organic vegetable oil, sunflower oil and canola oil, both organic. But there's still the oils that are high on omega-6, so that's where you will find. So check the ingredients. It's a really great way to eat healthier, is know what is in your food. So check that list of ingredients, and if it has a lot of these vegetable oils, maybe think twice, or have just a little bit of that, so you don't have a lot of omega-6s in your diets. So junk food obviously has a lot of omega-6s. There's a lot of corn oil, soybean oil, but it's not just in packaged chips. Think about the meat you eat if you're not a plant eater. Beef, for example, most of the cows are fed corn and soy, so that means when you buy that steak, it's going to be based on corn and soy food. So you will still get those omega-6 fats through that meat in your diet. However, if you buy grass-fed beef, those cows are fed grass, which means they would have more omega-3s, anti-inflammatory, in your diet. So greens are great. In fact, veggies, berries, herbs, they all have a high amount of omega-3s, and they're really great at reducing inflammation. Plus, they're full of fiber and water, which helps the digestion process, makes things go more smoothly. You can also find that fiber in whole grains, which you wouldn't find in refined grains. So, omega-3s are really beneficial. They fight inflammation. Omega-6s have in small quantities. You still need them for energy, but watch out for that proportion. If you're looking for a high source of omega-3s, it would be fish. So especially fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines, stuff like that. So let's get back to the stress. Whatever the cause, food can make you feel better, but only temporarily. The cause of stress will still remain, and unless you're hungry, you have to address that cause. Even if grabbing a snack or wolfing down a pizza is your go-to response, you can still undo that habit with a couple of my solutions. So first, let go of that guilt. Let's avoid that vicious cycle where you eat a bunch of crap, or you feel bad about it, so you eat some more and then you feel bad about it, and that vicious cycle continues. Let's break this cycle by giving yourself permission to eat. Being aware of what you're doing will take some of that stress away and will help you process it better. So that's your solution number one. When you're stressed and you want to grab a bag of chips and to make yourself feel better, just do it. But know what you're doing, and maybe ask yourself why you're doing that, or what you were doing just before that made you feel stressed and made you want that bag of chips. And write it down. Take a note. Watch it, a week or two, and see if you can see any kind of pattern. Let's say you get an email from work, and then you go and grab a cookie. If that happens persistently, maybe that email is a source of stress, and you have to find out why, and if it's something you can avoid or reroute in a way. But sometimes awareness is not enough. So your next option, your next solution, is to interrupt the usual pattern, and instead of reaching for food, pick something from your list of options. You can make this list based on the things you like, things you enjoy, or things you might want to try. So let's say you get stressed when watching the news and you are heading to your pantry to grab some chips or cookies. This is where you would stop and pick something from your list of options, like going for a short walk. So you're interrupting that stress response, you're interrupting that usual pattern, and you are reframing, replacing it with something that is not food. And if you still want those cookies or those chips after you come back from a walk, remember, guilt-free, go ahead and have them, but make a note of that. Now, what else can be on your list of options? It could be things like activities. It could be a walk, it could be a bike ride, exercise, yoga, stretch, any kind of movement. Movement is generally very helpful in distracting and also moving some of those good endorphins, so that might make you feel better right away. Another option is social connection, like calling friends or family or connecting online. It could be a hobby like painting or music or writing. And in fact, writing is another good option. Writing in your journal, or typing up your thoughts, or just being with those thoughts, meditating for 5 minutes, just being still and trying to connect and be aware of why you're feeling that way and what you might need. So notice which options you're taking most frequently, and that could be a sign of something that you're truly craving. So if your interruption response from your list of options is calling a friend or family, maybe you're missing a social connection. I know a lot of us are missing social connections right now. If it's a hobby, maybe you need a little bit more time for yourself, time to spend on yourself. So I'm not going to guess at what it is you're going to choose, but use this list of options to interrupt the cycle of stress eating. And finally, I want to encourage you to be kind to yourselves. We tend to put ourselves to a very high standard, and then when we don't reach that standard, when we don't measure up, we feel bad about it, and that can cause stress. Let's show ourselves some compassion, some kindness. The key is to watch out for any negative self-talk. Be kind and notice what you're doing, and know this is only temporary. A lot of people are struggling right now, and things will eventually improve. You can tell I'm an optimist. So this doesn't mean a free pass to overeat when you feel bad. It's just a little bit of kindness to stop the cycle of guilt, so you might not need that snack after all. Maybe you would go to your list of options. So stress eating is very common, and I hope you found some solutions and you learned a little bit about inflammation and stress, and you maybe will practice some of those solutions and find some that work for you. If you do, please share that on this Facebook page or any other Fit Eat Rest social channels. And I thank you for watching this. I am Anna Harris, the coach behind FitEatRest.com, reminding you to stay fit, eat well, and take time for yourself.